Hi, welcome to the Toilet Paper Diaries. On this episode, we'll be introducing to you the new four horsemen of the apocalypse. And they are, the first one is ignorance and stupidity. Right alongside him, you'll find death, and then disease. And the fourth one, to make sure it all comes together, is manipulation. How does this fit in on this week's news? You won't believe it, because we didn't, and that's why you've got to watch what comes next on the Toilet Paper Diaries.
I am happy to see you now on episode 71 of the Toilet Paper Diaries, where we're going to be covering about the new four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. And the thing is, we're trying to work out whether the four horsemen of apocalypse applies to the whole year or just to this week. Because this week has been bonkers. We've ended up it's like the end of the Waltons, only we are old enough to remember the Waltons. At the end of a show, the Waltons, many years ago, they'd end up with the whole family, there's about 20 of them living in one barn, virtually. And we'd all say goodnight to all the different members of the family. Good night, John Boy, good night, Sue Ellen, good night, blah, blah, blah. And then all the lights would go off one by one in the house, and then it'd play some nice music. And then everything would be all right in the world until the next episode. So we put the toilet paper to bed at the end of every show. It's just like, we've done it. We're good now. Good night. And it's suddenly like Ghostbusters. It's like the world's just gone, blah, 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 and everything's just gone crazy. And when we meet again, we'll say, right, so what's happened since we last chatted? The entire world's just erupted and the asteroid hasn't hit us yet. Oh, okay. Usual then.
Yeah, it's insane. If I put into perspective all what we have done throughout these 71 episodes, I mean, we have done everything from music to companionship to help to therapy to education, you name it. But it seems to me that every day that we move along, it just becomes bonkers and even more bonkers and crazy and stupid. And I think what happened this week is just insane. So shall we just get started with some of the happenings of this week? So just possibly...
I think the way to sum it up, it's bonkers on toast. Not just bonkers, on toast. And on fire is actually quite close to how it should be perceived because all the stuff going on. In fact, now I think about it, we've got so much to go through. I don't know if we've actually talked much about the fire. We'll talk about that a little bit later on because there's so much to go through. Right, where do you want to start, Ernesto? Because we've got about 8,000 things to fit into a 1 hour show. And we either go rapid speed or we just stick a pin in it. And if I stick a pin in there, I go, oh yeah, Roger Stone. Roger Stone deciding in an interview that this is how, if Trump loses the election, this is how we're going to fix it. We're going to have a coup with the military and lock ourselves in and make sure that we change the law. But we also make sure that Pence takes over. So let's get this right. Trump would resign. Pence would become the new acting president. Pence would pardon officially Trump for everything that's going through the court and could come up in the future, and then they'd refuse to leave. Is that about right? Is that a bit close?
Well, my question is, why is he getting on television on interviews? He should be on jail. I mean, he was on jail. He was pardoned. I mean, it's like unbelievable. I just find it absolutely crazy.
It's like one of those superhero movies where a character dies, but then they come back again. And you just go, how does that happen? It never happens in real life. Yes, it does. It happens all the time. People get thrown in jail and they come back. People go down and they disappear and come back. And it's just like, okay, another character in the story. Yeah, Roger Stone, always an interesting one. Never bored with watching Roger Stone.
I am appalled every time that I look at Facebook. Mainly Facebook. Facebook is really the one that drives me crazy. And I see all the hatred. I see all the attacks that are people doing against each other. I mean, there's a sense of divisiveness that really drives me crazy. And also, it's a matter of they have no idea what's going on in reality. And of course, I mean, one side attacks the other like saying you are the one which has no idea and you have to be awakened, and the other one says the other one that has to be awakened. But I think what I find very important are the facts, and I like that very much. I mean, we did one special show with we were talking about Kamala Harris, and it is very interesting, because right now, if we go even deeper into what's going on, we were talking about Alan Lichtman, and Alan Lichtman has been predicting the elections already for something like about 10 years, 10 elections, and it has been really very interesting. Now, he has a very specific formula. Instead of actually seeing the polls, because if you go to this website that we mentioned last week, 270 to win, we can see what's going on. But if you think about it, the elections are seen like if they are horse races. Don't you get that feeling, Dave? That, I mean, we start seeing, well, this one is going a little bit further, and then this one is moving this direction, and this one is going into this direction. I find that really weird.
I feel like it's not a horse race. It's the hare and the tortoise, except for the hare has been substituted by another tortoise. So it's a tortoise versus the tortoise for 4 years. And all they've got to do is to get across the finishing line. And to be honest with you, as much as I love animals, I'd rather we just turn the tortoises upside down and let them just dangle themselves for a little while and go watch Netflix. Because Alan Lichtman's book is fascinating, the 13 Keys to the White House. And when he points out the things that are involved in it, he says that all the stuff we're watching with this horse race we're talking about has no relevance.
No relevance whatsoever.
And this is all the fun, and this is what the media have to do to keep the hype going. What actually happened was the damage was done beforehand, long before we actually sit down and debate it, which makes it an even longer tortoise race.
Exactly. So you see all these people saying, well, you know, Biden is getting into dementia, and Trump is crazy. And you get all these things, and they say, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's exactly the same thing as what happened in 2008. In 2008, because, of course, everybody was so upset with what has happened with George W. Bush. I mean, they could have put a cartoon character instead of Obama, and he would have won. Just think about it. Obama was a completely unknown character. He won. It is the way that things work. So right now, it doesn't matter how you think about it. Right now, this is it's all working. So it just makes me laugh when I see all these people going crazy about, oh yeah, he's not going to be able to win, and they're going to be going crazy on the debates, and he's not going to be debating. You say, you know what? That's completely irrelevant.
And so you got the 13 keys that we're going to have a look at in a moment to see exactly who he predicts is going to win. But you have to remember, when you dig into the politics, this is not just America, it's in every country. In America, before you have anybody stepping up to be a nominee, they've been vetted above and beyond everybody who's involved in what we see, because they're not allowed to really change the way the world is. It's already set that you've got safe nominees from both parties or a third party, but that got stopped. And so it doesn't matter what you've got. This is an incredible catfight, like a final of a sports event, like the Super Bowl. And it doesn't matter what happens, because the guys who've got the money are going to keep the money. It's really going to matter what happens to us, because we're still going to end up going, it could have been better.
So let's just go quickly over the 13 keys that Alan Lichtman talks about. First of all, the first key is the party mandate. That basically means that after the midterm elections, the incumbent party has to hold more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives, which right now it's not the case. So that basically it's a false for Trump that takes it down. Then point number two, or key number two, is going to be the contest. There is no serious contest to the incumbent party nomination. That is going to be true, because even though what's his name?
Kanye West.
Kanye West said that he was going to run. He didn't do it, so that was not going to be working. So third is going to be that there's no significant party or independent campaign. That is absolutely true. The short-term economy is not in recession during the election campaign. Now, this is a very important one. The economy has been doing well, but this is basically 3 months. In the past 3 to 4 months, right now the economy is doing bad. So at the point that people are going to be voting, that's when they're going to have that in mind. and that's just the very important the very important thing. So that is one of the things that people need to take into consideration. Policy change, yes, the incumbent has already done a lot of changes. I mean, since Obama got elected, and then Trump got elected, everything was changed. So that's, of course, goes through. Social unrest. Let me ask you, Dave, has there been any social unrest in the past 6 or 7 months?
The social unrest has been so crazy, I've actually come out and said, I'm a black man. I never said that before, and I didn't really notice until what happened this year. I mean, I thought about it. I thought, you know what, I've got to take a stand because black lives do matter. And so, yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy year where people shouldn't. It's brought out the West. It's brought out the West. It's brought out the best and the worst of everybody. But here's the thing that really is so bad about Ernesto. It brings it up, but it hasn't been resolved. It's just in your face every day, and it's becoming more and more painful. And it's becoming more and more challenging. And I actually preferred it when it wasn't there, because then at least it wasn't in your face every day.
Yeah. So number 9, the 9th key to the White House is scandal. Now, has there been any scandals? I mean, throughout here, I haven't seen any. Well, starting in February with the impeachment. I mean, that possibly you forgot about it, but it would have been crazy. But there's been scandal after scandal after scandal. Now, key number 10 is foreign military failure. And that we have to give it to the incumbent, because, of course, it really hasn't had any failure. And key number 11 is a foreign or military success. Now, this is a very important one. We remember that possibly at the beginning, Trump announced that they were going to they killed General Soleimani in Egypt, in Iran. The funny thing is, they are trying to compare this one to Osama bin Laden. But the thing is, Osama bin Laden was a household name. Everybody knew about him. But this guy Soleimani nobody knew anything. So I don't really think that this would be actually a key for him. The incumbent party has charisma. And I think this is an interesting one because, yes, Trump is incredibly charismatic, but he only appeals to one group of the population. Do you think, Dave, that there's going to be people which don't really like Trump? Do you think that doesn't matter what he says, that they're actually going to say, oh, he's really charismatic, and they're going to go into his side? Or the other way around?
I find it fascinating to address the charisma of Donald Trump. I find him to be incredibly charismatic.
Super.
As a speaker, I look at him and I look the way he comes on, and he's a game show host. And a game show host that's got into politics. And he does an incredible job of driving the entire global politics from the charm of being a TV personality. Yeah. But it's catching up with him now because that's obviously not enough substance. So It is for some people. But those who were on the bench or those who voted who were just saying, you know what, he's kind of interesting. Let's see where this goes. I think they're getting fatigue. And I think a lot of people, and we stay away from politics. All I'm saying is, as a non-American, I just want it to go quiet for a while. I'm happy not hearing about politics for 4 years or longer, if that's okay with everybody.
That will be absolutely awesome. So yeah, he's incredibly charismatic, but once again, he only appeals to his base, only appeals to his specific people. It will not be something like Bill Clinton, for example, that it doesn't matter in which side of the aisle they went. They I do like him a little bit, and they might be some people which are going to be changing. So it is either you like Trump or you dislike Trump. There's no people in the middle, and that's a bit of an issue. And that, of course, goes into key number 13, which is the challenger has a lot of charisma. Now, I don't think that Biden is very charismatic. And of course, he's too old, and there's many, many things. But once again, we are in the exact same situation as we were in 2008, where there was a lot of people that were not happy with what was happening in the previous administration. And now what's going to happen? I mean, they can get as a candidate a cartoon character. They could put Barney as the candidate, and they're going to win. I mean, it's anybody but. And we are at exactly that same situation. So that's why I find it really sad, all these things that you keep on seeing in Facebook, because right now we are at that point again.
Can you imagine that, Ernesto? Can you imagine Barney as the incumbent president? Oh, today we got this thing clean up. Everybody start cleaning up America, clean up the world. And he'd be doing that. And the thing is, I mean, I hated Barney when my daughter used to watch it. And I used to look, there's a big fat guy in a suit. Nothing wrong with fat guys, nothing wrong with suits. But something sinister about the way that guy's hanging around those kids. Not going there, it just wasn't good. Now, I look at it and I just go, you know what? It can't be any worse than what we're having to deal with right now. I would rather that we didn't get Barney. I would be happy if we just got a broom with its hair hanging down in a corner, saying nothing, but doing nothing wrong.
Well, this is exactly what we are getting. I mean, right now, they even call him hiding Biden, because of course he doesn't come out. And right now he doesn't even have to come out, because basically we are at the same exact position that we were in 2008, which of course now makes me even think about how crazy it all goes. I woke up this morning to watch on the BBC, for crying out loud. They were mentioning that President Trump was actually talking about how proud he was that he watched 9 hours of Fox News and Fox Television. What do you think of that? I mean,
well, this is incredible. And I'll tell you what makes it really fascinating is when you see the politics of talking about Biden being stuck in his basement. Well, clearly Trump has been stuck in his plane on the way to things, or sat there in his pajamas eating his cornflakes, watching TV 9 hours a day. But here's the thing, it's like wag the dog. That means that his policymakers are not the team around him. It's the guys who are making the TV shows that he watches. Because if they support him and they push him in a certain direction, he's going to say, that's what I like. Let's do more of that. And I remember that one of his ex-aides came out and said that at every briefing in the morning, people would have to sit there and Trump would say, did you watch Lou Dobbs last night? Lou got it just right. This is what we should be doing. And they were saying, Lou, we couldn't watch Lou Dobbs because we're busy working. And when did he become the shadow chief of staff for the government? But that's exactly what it's been like. And I think it's really interesting to see what happens afterwards to those personalities. If Trump doesn't get back in again, I say if, because he might not, Alan Rickman may be wrong, but if he doesn't get back in again, those guys will have to do something. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump gets his own show.
So let's actually watch the clip so that we can see how he actually talks so proudly about it. Have a look.
I watch some of the shows. I watched Liz McDonald. She's fantastic. I watched Fox Business. I watched Lou Dobbs last night, Sean Hannity last night, Tucker last night, Laura. I watched Fox and Friends in the morning. You watch these shows, you don't have to go too far into the details. They cover things that are, it's really an amazing thing.
Wow, he knows every single name of every single show, of every single presenter. I'm in a house, and I've been in a house now for what, 7, 8 months? I can't remember, a year, 2 years, 20 years. Don't know. With 4 characters in my soap opera. I've got my wife Aziza, I've got my daughter Maya, who turns 10 in a couple of days, I think. I can't remember. I've got my dog Snow, my dog Ash. I've got you popping on the Toilet Paper Diaries and various business meetings and colleagues all the way through. I cannot remember the name of half the people I talk to. The only reason I remember you half the time is when we're talking on Zoom, your name comes up at the bottom. No offense, but that's how it works. But somehow he remembers all this stuff, and it's the most important thing in the world. And it's just mind-blowing. Not only that, do you find that in lockdown, you sometimes want to get away from the people you love? You don't want to spend 9 hours with anybody. The idea of sitting there watching any TV station, even Pornhub, would make my head explode for 9 hours. Everything would explode. No, don't buy into it. It's not good.
And so they go with an avalanche of tweets, basically talking about all these things that he has been watching on television. That's crazy. Now, as a foreigner...
Wait, before we move on, but let's just take it back. So there's 70 tweets come out during watching TV. The only
During
thing I
those
would do
9
70
hours.
yeah, look, the only thing I could imagine doing, this is literally, as you say, that's in one hand, he's got his remote control, the other hand, he's got his phone, and in his other hand, well, clearly there's burgers. That's like popping popcorn while watching a movie. That's how fast it goes. My goodness me, you've really, and I remember when I first started doing PlayStation, I got carpal tunnel syndrome from too much moving my thumbs like that. They're not meant to happen. You actually can get this lock on your hands, but he's evaded it. Has he? I don't know. Or maybe he's got somebody to press the buttons for him.
As me as a foreigner, and you as also as a foreigner, you start seeing that this is going on. I mean, it's hard to believe that the greatest country in the world, I say, like calling the United States, and I have to agree in many ways that it is the greatest country in the world, this is the kind of thing happening. So it's just insane.
I used to be a BBC News reporter for many years. And one of the things I vowed when I left the BBC is I'm not going to pay attention to the news anywhere. So for 20 years, I have no idea what happened on the news. And my life was bliss. Why? Because I'd hear about things when it was important enough for people to tell me, but I didn't dwell on things. So my day was full of all the wonderful things that you should have every day. But for the last 3.5 years, I feel like I married Trump.
If you are just joining the show, no, Dave didn't marry Trump, but we would like you to subscribe and to let us know what crazy things that you're actually watching right now. So please leave us a comment, leave us a like, leave us a dislike if you don't like what we're talking about. Any support that you can do so that people can actually watch the show, that will be great. And if you can go to toiletpaperdiaries.com and sign up for our podcast, that would be awesome. Now, Dave, we have been talking about the four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And right now I am just thinking, well, we have covered all these things. Now, I mean, it's not something that we really like to talk about because it's actually very painful. Sadly, right. And right now in California and Oregon, and I think all the way to the state of Washington, the quality of the air is really almost poisonous because of all the forest fires. And here's where the stupidity goes. Do you know one of the biggest forest fires, how it actually got started? With a gender reveal show or party. Can you believe that stupidity?
Gender reveal parties. That's one of the most incredibly stupid ways to start a global fire, or at least a huge forest fire. And for anybody who doesn't know what a gender reveal party is, let me just give you a little clue. Gender reveal party. 3 elements to it. Are you going to find out at a party whether it's a boy or a girl? That's it. It should be relatively easy to work out. There's pink and there's blue. Now, pink and blue are the colors that generally people choose. Of course, we know that there should be a rainbow of colors because you've got I've got it now wrong. LGBTQ.
Whatever it is.
There you go. So you should have a load of rainbow colors and a load of interesting things. But what happens is the idea is you reveal whether it's a girl or a boy by doing something crazy, like a YouTube type fad, and everyone sees it's pink or it's blue, and everyone claps, and everyone drinks, everyone eats cake, and it's a done deal. But this has got out of hand. Do we have footage, Ernesto, of exactly what happened?
Absolutely. Well, here's right now you're seeing here on stage exactly what, I mean, first of all, let's just have a look at what is going on with the gender reveal parties. And you can see some, I mean, these are some examples of the craziness. It's basically just to get it done. In fact, this one just right now here is in Dubai. It was the most expensive one. They got the Burj Khalifa to actually be illuminated in blue because they were saying that it was a boy. So this is exactly what you're seeing right now on screen. And then there's these guys that suddenly started this thing. It went all wrong and started burning the forest.
Now, the thing is, the lady who originally created the very first gender reveal party, about a couple of years ago, she's come out and said that she's actually against gender reveal parties. For a year, she's been disavowing gender reveal parties because they're not good. Now, you might say, from an innocent point of view, well, that doesn't matter if it's pink or it's blue, it's cute. And what she originally had was a cake. You cut the slice of cake out, and it was pink inside the cake, just to say it was a little girl she was going to have. But she realizes that there's so much gender politics involved in it, and people deciding, I don't want to have that, and I do want to have that. And it also puts the pressure on the kids to then become a man or become a woman, where they might want to not to be like that. They might play with different toys and so on. And it just became a really weird thing. So she said, look, it's not good for kids to have that kind of pressure. Just leave it. And in fact, it might be smarter that you do a gender reveal party when you find out they're going to get married. That way you'll know whether it's a pink or a blue, and that way everyone can celebrate and have fun together. But it's no real surprise.
1971, I am in Atlanta with my family, and I am seeing Richard Nixon resigning as president. After I think it was 1974, 1975, the movie All President Man's come out. I didn't see it until I was on my early teens. And I was very impressed about the whole thing. And I mean, I still remember this guy, Bernstein, and this other guy, Bob Woodward, I think his name was. Yep. And he was completely lost. Once again, as you were saying, it was one of those characters that you completely forgot about it. Suddenly this week, he completely becomes a protagonist. He's somebody that is really making news. Why? How did that happen, Dave?
I mean, to explain it, you have to really look back in it. Now, remembering that All the President's Men was a really big political film that dealt with the Watergate scandal. And that's like one thing that brought down President Nixon. Now we have to look at a million things. And this is just 1 week, and it's crazy. And it's so unforgettable. It's so forgettable, All the President's Men. Good movie, but you can't remember which one was which. You know that one was Dustin Hoffman and one was Robert Redford. That was it. But somehow it all gets revealed that Bob Woodward did an interview with Donald Trump. So how did that come about? Well, because we produced a book about a year ago called Fear, which was all about the perception they had of the White House, talking to White House staff, that Trump was leading by fear. He said he wanted to talk to Trump. Nobody would let him do so. So this time Trump went on the offensive. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to be in your book. So Woodward goes, ooh, okay then. So Trump sets up 18 interviews on the phone or whatever, where he talks frankly to Woodward. Now remember, Woodward is a political journalist. His job is not to be nice to anybody, but to work out from his perspective whether somebody's doing a good job or not. And that's not whether he likes somebody or not, it's whether they're doing a good job or not. So eventually the book comes out, and not only does it hit the fan, it reveals a number of different things, like the fact that Trump knew about COVID and how dangerous it was and lied to the American people. Now, that's a big thing to say, lie to American people, but it's on tape. And Trump has admitted he lied because he wanted to give the wrong impression to people so they wouldn't panic. Now, let's just put this into one tiny bit of perspective. If we were talking about a guy who chills out and just says, you know what, guys, we're fine, that's fine. But 3.5 years of the black people are going to get you has been, amongst other things, the Mexicans are going to get you and everything else. So what we have is a situation where it's all coming out about what happened in the past. And Bob Woodward's brought it out. But you know what it feels like? Meh.
Yeah, but it's just insane because right now, for example, there's been a rally, I think it was in Reno, Nevada, and then suddenly now they changed the chant. So now it's lock Obama up. Previously it was lock Hillary down. Now it's lock Obama down.
Why would it lock up, not down?
Lock him up.
Why Obama? What's that about?
Well, because apparently he was spying in the 2016 election. That's the whole claim. So I mean,
but it's been proven that's not true. It's been proven by all the organizations it wasn't true. So why is it coming up again? Just to diffuse and manipulate and get people. See, this is what Trump is brilliant at. And again, I want to state from a neutral point of view, he's a master of misdirection.
Yeah.
It's like watching the best ever magician saying, look at
this.
It's all over here. And you go, wow, how do you do that? Like that. But he's brilliant at doing it. And the very fact that we're here talking about him saying, look Obama up, not for a second is Obama going, oh no, I better get my toothbrush. I'm going away for a while. Nobody is doing that, but it's got the headlines, it's distracting, and it's another brilliant Trump move. And also get the chorus going. That's
the whole thing about manipulation. I mean, it is the perfect example. I mean, I distract you with one hand and I do whatever I want with the other hand. And it is exactly the world that we live in. And, but on top of that, I mean,
talking about what he does with his hands, you've got that new court case with E. Jean Carroll saying that years ago, there's indecent assault and rape. And it's now a situation where the US government, through Bill Barr, is actually defending Trump. Not a private lawyer, the government. So it's one woman who's accusing Trump versus the whole American legislature, which is going to defend him. When did that become a thing? And how is that allowed? And from a neutral point of view, it's not good.
Well, you know, this is exactly what I want everybody to get. And please, if you're a Republican and you think that we're attacking it, it's not. We're just trying to help you understand how crazy these situations are. I mean, just think about it. We are getting this thing with Jen Carroll. And the other thing is, suddenly they make an announcement. This is just how insane it is. They make an announcement that President Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize. But what do? Yeah. They put Nobel Prize instead of Nobel Prize. They made a big typo and they put it all over their social media campaign. I mean, it's just, you go like, can this actually be happening? I mean, it's just.
But you remember, he got Japan to nominate him before to say he deserves one, and everyone's going, really? Why would Japan do that? And then he hated the fact that Greta Thunberg, that 13-year-old or whatever age she is, who was basically talking about climate change, she was being nominated, and he hated that. And Obama got nominated, and he hated that as well. So he's been waiting for his opportunity to get in. And I think that stuff in the Middle East with Israel and the UAE is his way of saying, look, I'm uniting the world. I'm bringing world peace. Now get off my prize, please.
That's another topic completely. And I mean, I possibly this is something that we should talk about later on. Why did this happen? There's a reason specifically why did this happen, but that will take us completely out of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So let's just don't get into that. But also, you know what is very funny is he goes and announces that he actually received the Bay of Pigs Award in Miami, Florida, and he's basically talking to the Latinos. And basically everybody's trying to figure out, well, what is this Bay of Pigs Award? It doesn't exist. So you go like, this is just really crazy. I mean, he's a master in basically saying, well, you know, this is what's going on, this is all the craziness, and then he pulls out of thin air some of the craziest things ever. I have to say that whatever happens, I mean, if he stays or he doesn't stay, if he stays, we're going to continue the Toilet Paper Diaries for a number of times, for a number of months and years possibly. If he doesn't stay, we're going to miss some of the craziness, because we had never seen anybody that was so incredible. I mean, he's P.T. Barnum. He's P.T. Barnum. If you think about it, that's exactly who he is. It's incredible. It's fantastic. Hey, talking about all this craziness, I mean, have you seen the movie The Social Dilemma?
I watched it because our friend Christian Farioli sends a message in one of our groups of speakers saying you've got to watch this show. And it's a documentary all about the ex-decision makers from all the top tech companies. Some from Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, Twitter, you name it, they're all there. And the thing is, the first thing you recognize is they're all so young. They're all in their early 30s, late 20s. They're the tech decision makers. Then what you realize is they're there to kind of confess some things. And the thing that hit me most of all, I'm going to tell you in a moment. But I want to ask you first first, Ernesto, what did you get from that show?
Well, you know, I'm not surprised. I definitely think that it is something that we are living in, and I think we have to be very aware that we are being used and we are using the whole thing. But I think the best thing that we can do is, if you do not know about it, let's just have a look at the trailer. I think you're going to enjoy it. Have a look.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident. That's a design technique. What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded.
So there you are. You've got a taster of what it's all about. And you see all these big decision makers telling you about how they put their social media together. But one thing they're united in, and remember these guys are all up against each other from different social media houses, is they are now the biggest companies on the planet. They're now bigger than any one country because they span across so many other countries with their influence and the people who are slaves to them. They have all the data that you could ever want. I mean, remember when Google Plus first came out as a social media thing? We all signed up, then it disappeared. We went, that was rubbish. And Google went, yeah, we only wanted you to sign up so we could get your profiles, so we could work on your stuff. What I found fascinating about that show is one line, which is that the social media platform is not the product. We are.
Crazy.
We are the products that they're manipulating. They make sure that at every stage, our emotions are manipulated. If we're checking in on Facebook to find out about an old friend or an old girlfriend, an advert will pop up to tell us about joining Tinder or Grindr or whatever your favorite persuasion could be. All the way through, the algorithms are there to force you to feel good, to feel bad, but to stay on. Because while you're on, the advertisers and sponsors can get stuck in to share their stuff with you. And so what I found incredible is when they asked all the guys, every single one, would you let your kids go on social media? They all said no.
Please let us know what you think about this film, because we really think it was really absolutely crazy. And yeah, you know, talking about shows, I have some very good news for everybody. And Dave, I mean, we were grinning and we were smiling like crazy this week also, because the Toilet Paper Diaries was actually right now compared to one of the top shows in Spotify and in iTunes and everything, which is called Crime Junkies. I think it is. It's a very interesting show, which normally it's at the very high part of the rankings, and I think it's really great. Shall we just show a little bit of how they're talking about it, Dave?
Tea with G, the review coming up now.
All right.
Let me just tell you that this show is so funny and it's so fun to listen to. So if you're ever doing a co-hosted podcast, you should definitely listen to their show, because the banter they have with each other is just so perfect. Like they don't even have to bring on other guests, because it's literally just them telling stories to each other, stories they hear in the news, stories people share. Like they repeat it to each other, and it's so conversational. So I'm not sure if you guys heard about the show Crime Junkie. But it's these two women, Ashley Flowers and Britt, and they're two girlfriends, and they just chat about true crime stories. And like, it's so good, and it's like a really famous podcast, and I really like the banter of those two. These guys have better banter.
So there you go. We've validated the hard work we've put in lockdown, sharing our thoughts, our ideas, our jokes, and our tragedies with everybody is now being recognized. But it's funny to laugh at the Mexican guy and the Black British guy talking about how boring their lives are. But it doesn't matter. That's a good thing. It shows that people are buying into it. And it took us, how long have we been doing this show for, Ernesto?
71 episodes. We are over 7 months doing this.
Wow, 7 months. Oh my goodness. If you look back at the original pictures of us, my hair wasn't this grey. I've turned into Morgan Freeman. At least at the very worst, I was Milli Vanilli when we first began. And you had an afro for a period of time.
That's right.
And now it's gone down. You got this new thing going on where I'm not sure who you look like, but you look very cool.
I was thin. Right now, I look like one of those characters in the cartoon with the humongous heads.
I'll tell you who you're turning into. Roger Whittaker. Do you know Roger Whittaker?
No.
Google Roger Whittaker. When we do this next, you'll turn around to me and you'll say, "Ah, that's Roger Whittaker. He's a very famous singer. Maybe in the UK. I thought he was American, but clearly not enough." When you see Roger, you'll say, "Oh my goodness,
that's just insane." And just another very interesting thing, which I think everybody, because we have been doing it, and yesterday we had a conversation with some of our speakers. I mean, they were saying, "Well, can we see the results of what you have been doing?" I mean, we have been getting incredible results. I mean, we have people calling us. They are coming to us to how are you doing the show? And can we bring you into our company? And I mean, we are really becoming incredibly relevant with doing the show. And I really understood something which I think is very important. I mean, Gordon Ramsay, I mean, you possibly are familiar with him. Of course, Dave, I know that you're familiar with him. But if you're not familiar with him, he's the guy from Hell's Kitchen. And he also got into lockdown. And suddenly he said, "Well, I think it is, I have no clue what I'm going to be doing." And then the kids said to him, "Well, why don't we do a family cooking show from our house in YouTube?" And then they took their passion online with YouTube. Have a look at this short interview that he had with somebody from Google to see what he says about the importance of becoming virtual and also going online with YouTube, because we are talking about social networks like Facebook, like Instagram, like LinkedIn. YouTube is not a social network. It's a broadcasting company. And the moment that you understand that you can have the power of knowing how to broadcast yourself, which is actually the slogan from YouTube, the power is immense. It's incredibly powerful. So let's just have a look and then we'll bring back, we will talk about it a little bit more.
The pressure on a chef today is far greater than ever before. And you're not just a chef now, you're a marketing tool. And if there's one great tool, in my business, it has to be YouTube, because that's a great way of instantly marketing the product, the chef, the restaurant, the brand.
In this episode of The Update, I talk with one of the biggest chefs on YouTube, Gordon Ramsay, about how to develop a business strategy centered around video. So Gordon, tell us about your journey on YouTube. What was your experience making your first video?
The first foray onto the platform was extraordinary because it was very cleverly sort of put together videos of sort of mishaps in restaurants from kitchen nightmares, whether it was a mouse in the toaster or bloody moldy food. All of a sudden this thing started gaining traction. And then customers were telling me, "Hey, I love your YouTube videos."
There's no denying that our world is changing. Can you tell me a bit about the changes you and the team have made?
Yeah. I mean, in my eyes, YouTube has helped to make the planet so much more foodie, because we've had to take that negativity over the last 3.5 months from lockdown and turn it into huge positivity. What does that mean? It's gaining confidence, shooting on a laptop, iPad, or phone.
DOP, Director of Photography, there she is.
Hello.
And then uploading that video instantly to YouTube gives it instant access to the most amazing fun. And sometimes, especially across those dark moments when the uncertainty was coming in to how long we were going to be down for, I saw the lift, in the Ramsay household. Because all of a sudden, it wasn't just me, it was Matilda, Megan, Holly, and even my wife Tana that was, excited about that, fun. And so YouTube gave that platform for a lot of home-style cooking to take place, not edited, and even leaving some of the mistakes in there. That's what made it so real and so much more tangible.
Where's my sous chef? Where is he? There he is!
So it's fascinating. That's great. I mean, Gordon Ramsay's a massive personality anyway. And with Hell's Kitchen and all the other shows that he's done, it's quite clear he's great to watch. But this show's different. It shows his family. It shows what his home life is. And also, it doesn't seem produced. It seems more like a reality TV show, like the Kardashians. At the same time as the Kardashians have announced they're not going to be doing any more shows, it's almost like throwing the gauntlets out there that they've owned for, 9-10 years at least? and said, right, guys, you've seen what we do, go crazy. So I think it's a massive time and a huge opportunity for every single one of us to go, do I want to share that much with everybody? If I do, then let's do it. And it's really interesting to see what Gordon Ramsay's done. Well done to him and his lovely family, but the gauntlet is thrown at you. What are we going to see you do next?
Exactly. I mean, we have changed our mentality completely throughout these 6-7 months to understanding how powerful it is to broadcast yourself. It's not the same to make a post on Facebook. It's not the same to post some news in LinkedIn. That has nothing to do. The moment that you post a video in YouTube, that is going to go into a library. And that library is going to be living there for a number of years. And what happens is that you start accumulating the amount of watch time that people watch it. I mean, we have over 45,000 hours of watch time in YouTube from these shows. Tell me, Dave, how else could we actually get that amount of exposure? Impossible.
If we were naked?
I don't know if I want to see myself naked right now. I mean, right now, I think if I would see myself naked in the mirror,
I would put a bag on my head and a bag on the camera. Nobody's watching anything.
That's absolutely correct. So once again, that's one of the things that we would like to encourage you to do. Make sure that if you have a message, make sure that you're an expert, make sure if you're a speaker, start thinking about YouTube and the power of having a show and transmitting and broadcasting your message. If you would like to contact Dave or myself so that we can help you, do it. We can help you. We now know how to do it very, very well. Dave, we're almost running out of time. We have 2 more things to cover, and I know that this one is your section. You really love it, and you prepare them really very nice.
Right, now we're going to go to a section that we brought back every single week, and it's always different. It's always like drop your food on the table because we can't believe it's happening. These are the 10 movies that you really want to see but probably won't in 2020. So first of all, John Wick 4. Now, if you've seen the John Wick movies, you know it's Keanu Reeves in this incredible underworld of assassins where they're everywhere and they're all connected, and he often kills people with a pencil. Now, the truth about Keanu Reeves is they've actually said that he's actually as good with a gun as John Wick would be. It's a very rare thing to find an actor who's that wonderful with firearms, but it's true about John Wick. And so the third movie is incredible and bonkers, but they filmed number 4 and also number 5 at the same time, I believe. So that's delayed, but it will be coming out and it will be spectacular at some time.
That is crazy. And number 9 is going to be Indiana Jones 5. Now, I've seen the first 4 and I love them. And as far as I remember, Steven Spielberg was out. So now apparently he's back, and we're not going to be able to see Indiana Jones 5.
He's not. Spielberg's had enough. He's left. He doesn't want to be in it anymore. And also, do you know how old Harrison Ford is now?
76 or something?
78. What could he possibly need to achieve? He had the aliens in the last one, which was ridiculous anyway. And for some reason, because they don't like the guy who played his son in the last movie, they decided he's got no son, which means he's got no wife. So he's got some new story. But it's being filmed. It's definitely happening. And that's Indiana Jones 5. Let's see if we can make number 6 as well before Harrison one day pops his clogs. Even though we love him, I don't think we need another one, but there we go. Number 8 is Godzilla versus Kong. And I'm looking forward to that because it was made in the 60s and we especially made it.
Are you going to actually see that movie? I mean, that movie is like, huh? I mean,
well, think about it. They've reset Godzilla as a new set of movies, new franchise. They've also done Kong Island to make the new King Kong, this massive, huge, mountain-sized Kong, deliberately so he could go up against Godzilla in a future movie.
You know why I would not like this? I would like to watch this movie right now, because right now with the craziness of this year, every time it thunders, I always think it might be Godzilla there. So I am afraid.
You know what? He could easily be one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. We've got stupidity, we've got death, we've got disease, and Godzilla. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up in a situation where we turn on the news and we say, oh yeah, giant lizard comes out of the sea, blows fire, destroys New York. Anyway, in other news, they're planning to bring it out. It's been delayed, but it will come out at some point. Now, the reason that all these movies are being delayed is because people aren't going to the cinema. So will they release them? Now, Mulan, they've released. Because at long last, we just said we've got to get it out there. So Disney did it just to test the waters to see if it can make revenue on a streaming service. But they're still holding back on everything else. Do you want to say number 7?
Yeah, Fast and Furious number 9. Apparently, they're sending him to the moon. That's what I read about it, right?
Somehow they've recreated the Avengers to be Vin Diesel and all his friends in cars. And the thing is, it shouldn't work, but it does. They're so entertaining. And you just sit there and your mouth just drops and you're going to need to wear a mask to soak up all the drool thinking this is just bonkers. But it's it's all about family. But somehow and what we're going to do with this new one is to bring back a ton of dead characters to be alive again. So Paul Walker, who actually died in real life, is coming back for this movie. Don't ask me how. One of the other characters, Han, who got killed in number 5 and number 6, he's coming back again. Don't ask me how. But I know they will. And it's going to have The Rock in it. And it's going to have Vin Diesel. And the only person who's not coming back apparently is Jason Statham. But he will next time. So it's going to be bonkers. Can't wait. Bonkers on toast. All right, number 6 is Wonder Woman 1984. Now, I've been looking forward to this because I've seen the trailer for so many times, but finally it's going to come out. And the idea is, and again, a character comes back, which is Steve Trevor, her boyfriend who died in World War II, somehow pops up again. Don't ask me how. This is a true story. And it's going to be apparently released for Christmas. So you'll have to wait a little bit longer, but in lockdown, every day just merges into the next day anyway. So it's coming out tomorrow.
Here's a question. Gal Gadot, Linda Carter.
Gal Gadot or Linda Carter? Well, I would have to say, if you want to make it fair, why don't you go Gal Gadot, Linda Carter in her prime? She's about 80 now. Otherwise, it's a straight win. But I never fancied Linda Carter.
I always did.
I never fancied Linda Carter. You know who I was in love with that I wanted to marry? Kate Jackson from Charlie's Angels.
Yeah,
Sabrina.
For me, my dream girl when I was my poster girl was Jacqueline Smith.
Jacqueline Smith.
Oh my!
Very nice.
What a lady.
I had that poster of Farrah Fawcett Majors in the red swimsuit on my wall, and it was my girlfriend when I was about 9. So there we go. And as you can see, it worked out. I kept the hair, nothing else. Number 5?
Number 5, and that one I think is one of my super favorite. I mean, that inspired me to get my pilot license, and I always loved it. And I think it's very cool that it's going to be a sequel, and that's going to be Top Gun. And that's really a pity that because of all this craziness, we have not been able to see that one.
Top Gun Maverick with Tom Cruise coming back again, and he's still at the same army base or on the same aircraft carrier, and he never left. Sorry?
And he looks the same. Oh my God. We're talking about a film that was only 1984, and he still looks the same. It just beats.
It probably looks younger when it comes to him running and jumping off buildings as well. But I was a huge fan of the first movie until I watched it a couple of times, and then it just becomes so iconic you can't take your eyes off it. And it was a massive success for driving people to join the Navy and the armed forces as well. Number 4, talking about that Black Widow starring Scarlett Johansson. She's a character, if you remember from the Avengers, a female character with red hair. She's a Russian spy assassin. And if you watched Endgame, she disappears in Endgame. But this is a prequel to how she got there in the first place. And if you know anything about Marvel movies and the different gauntlets and the time changes, she could well come back at the end of this movie. Now, this has been sitting there for a very long time. And one of the reasons that people wanted it to be released is because Gal Gadot starring Wonder Woman was a milestone of having a female superhero lead. Since then, we've had Captain Marvel, which was, in my opinion, a great movie as well. But Black Widow was the one that they said they wanted to have, but the coronavirus locked it in, so it couldn't get released to the cinemas. Hopefully, we'll see that coming out soon. What's up next?
Number 3, The Batman. And I think it's now actually interesting that they put The Batman. just to distinguish it from the other Batman movies. And I always love the Batman movies. I'm not too much into superheroes, but all the Batman movies I've always enjoyed, in each and every single one of them. And I will not go into deciding who's going to be better, because if not, we're going to stay here forever. So let's move to number 2.
Number 2 is No Time to Die, which is a brand new James Bond movie. It's the one where Daniel Craig has turned around and said, I'm not doing another movie. Mind you, he said that last time as well. So he now is no longer 007. Instead, there's another person playing 007, and you get a real surprise when you see exactly who it is. But there's something about these Bond movies that you just can't ignore. They're just really well polished. They're crazy. And there's something about Daniel Craig that even now he's getting a bit old. You wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, because he'd probably bite your head off and spit the pips out and not even notice the rest of you existed. But that has got to be released at some point, and when it does, I'll be sitting in the front row in my hazmat suit in the cinema waiting to see it.
That's
and number 1?
Number 1 is the Smurfs. Avatar 2.
Same.
Same, but different, as they will say in India. Hey, I loved Avatar. I thought it was a great movie. But there's also a ton of other ones that you didn't mention. I mean, it was The Matrix 4. I don't know if I'm going to see it, because The Matrix one is fantastic. The other 2, I hated them. They were absolutely crazy. Then there's another one from Thor. What other ones do you know that are not there? Ghostbusters.
Well, no, for a start, they weren't in any particular order. We started Avatar 2 was number 2, but I mean, they got a Matrix 4, they got Thor, where actually it's going to be his girlfriend who becomes Thor. Doctor Strange in the multiverse, going back and going through all the different timelines, and then there we got a load of cameos, maybe even Wolverine popping up in that. See, the thing is, we got all these superhero movies like Spider-Man, and we got Uncharted, and we got Ghostbusters, which is bringing back some of the original Ghostbusters, including Bill Murray. But right now, superhero movies are like Westerns were in the 60s. They are the go-to movie that everyone kind of likes. All the science fiction movies were in the 70s and 80s. You've got Venom 2, you've got The Eternals, and you've got Morbius, but you've also got Jackass 4. That's what I'm looking forward to. I never thought I'd miss a world with Jackass in it. And coronavirus has stopped a lot of the filming, but they're bringing back all the old guys to set their bums on fire, or to shave their heads when they're not looking, or to fight sharks, or whatever it is. And I can't wait to see it. I didn't like everything they've done, but it would make me feel happier. Do you know one of the films I watched which brings all that back? Bill and Ted Face the Music. The new Bill and Ted movie. Keanu Reeves is in his 50s. Alex Winter is as well. But they made another crazy movie, and it just feels good to have a nostalgia. So those are the big movies to watch out. The top 10 and beyond that you didn't see, but you can keep your fingers crossed they'll come to a cinema or a screen near you soon.
That's awesome. Then just to finish the show, we've been talking about craziness. We've been talking about death. We've been talking about sickness. The fourth Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I would like to end up in a very positive and nice note. And one of the very nice comments that we got from T with G was that they love the music in the Toilet Paper Diaries. We haven't really had any music in the Toilet Paper Diaries for a while. So what I thought it would be very nice is to bring one specific singer. I like to see some of the people that have been really thriving after the pandemic. And I found this girl, Anne Reburn. And I thought that she was fantastic. And she is not only a great singer, she has a great song, but she also has a activism message.
Clones, assemble!
I like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. I like to teach the world to sing, sing with perfect harmony. I like to hold it in my arms and keep it company.
I have no idea what's going to happen between now and the next show of the Toilet Paper Diaries, But I guarantee when we come back, the first thing we're going to say is, oh my goodness, I didn't expect that to happen. Find out what that is when you join us next time on the Toilet Paper Diaries. It's been an honor. Ernesto, love you. Bye.
Love you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch all the videos over here. There's 2 choices for you. Or, of course, I'm Dave Crane coming from Dubai.
And this is Ernesto Verdugo coming from Houston.
Subscribe. Make sure you do. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the brand new shows, all the tips,